And we are live, guys. Welcome, women of high value. Let me chat to you a little bit today about the masculine feminine. I'm actually going to bring this up right here and make it go next to my head. Let's see. There you go. Not quite. Oh, there you go. All right. So let's make this very interesting for you. Okay, I've posted this before. This is also how it looks like on the title, the thumbnail, and I wanted to go through it a little bit more just to explain what I mean when I say that men will be so much happier if they were allowed to be masculine, and not only allowed to be masculine, but encouraged to be masculine. And why women would be so much happier if they were just allowed to be their feminine selves and allowed men to be their masculine selves. Around the world today, what is happening is that men have allowed themselves to become feminine. Yes, it is not women that have become masculine and thereby made men become feminine. Feminine men have done it to themselves. What happens when men in general become feminine men? Well, basically they're not men at all. What ended up happening is they grew up feminine from the time they were 0 to 8, 9, 10 years old, and then once they get into puberty, you would expect them to become more masculine. And they get some of those traits, but most of them are still feminine in terms of their emotions. Yes, they'll start becoming more sexual. They start, wanting to try alcohol. They start wanting to, experiment with their emotions and drugs and all that stuff. It's not a good idea, because what they're reinforcing in their brain is, I like immediate gratification. And when basically the brain accepts that immediate gratification is the norm, those guys remain in their femininity basically throughout their life. Once those years have been set, we're talking 0 to 20 years old, it is so hard to change habits that happened for years and years and years throughout their childhood and teenage years, and now change them suddenly at age 20 or 25 or 30 or 70 years old. So they remain in their femininity. Now, what's wrong with that? Maybe you're watching this channel and you're quite masculine, and your husband or boyfriend will naturally be quite feminine. Yeah, he's my best friend. He comforts me and he's there for me when I need him. Yes, but he doesn't turn you on. You gotta remember, attraction is the number one thing that keeps a couple together. Attraction. When a mother is not attracted to the children's father, the children are the one who suffer. Now, you would think that it's only the children who suffer, but no. The mother who is not turned on by her husband also suffers. And it's very sad, because women were meant to be sexual. They are sexual beings. That's what it means to be a woman. It is to be sexual and to thrive in your sexuality. And in some ways, that's what women are trying to do in a weird way in these days. Yet, the only time that they manage to be sexual is when they drink alcohol. Interesting. That's the only time they manage to be feminine. Then we have a problem. And the problem is not so much that women are masculine, because they've been that for ages. When a woman gets burdened, she gets more and more masculine. The more burden she has, the more closer to max capacity she gets, the more burdened and masculine she will be. And it gets harder and harder for the man who is feminine to change. He should have done that a long time ago. Guess what? Women are not turned on by feminine creatures. And that's never gonna change. Women are turned on by leaders. Women are turned on by men who achieve things, who get results, who take responsibility, and who make things happen. You know you're a woman. You know you're a girl. Okay, so why is it such a problem that men, other than the things that I've mentioned thus far, are feminine? Because when you're feminine, you have emotional logic. Okay, so what does that mean? It basically means that your rationality and logic, you know, the numbers part of your brain, it goes out the window immediately as soon as emotions take over your body. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're out on the town. Let's say, for example, you're drinking. And there's a guy drinking too. Now, when he's drinking, he's obviously more feminine than he would be if he was not drinking. And if he allows that femininity to build up in him, he becomes emotional. Why is it more likely for a man at the bar who's drunk to get into fights? It's because he's emotional. So this can also be, that's my example. So this can also be men who are not drunk, not drinking at all, but if they're emotional men, they can get really angry. As a woman, you don't want a man to be angry. An angry man can destroy your life. An angry man can create a lot of issues for you. We don't want angry men. But that's what we get when the pressure cooker builds and builds and builds over time until it bursts. A feminine man. What else is a problem? Well, when men are feminine, they're more likely to also drink. They're more likely to do drugs. They're more likely to want to lie in order to save face and to save the moment instead of being honest with you and thinking long term about the relationship. A feminine man will always listen to his emotions more than listening to what is right and what is rational and what is logical to do in every situation. He's more likely to not be able to defend you and protect you if something bad happens. There's a fire, a feminine man will be stuck like a deer in the headlights. And he'll be frozen because of his emotions. You're beginning to see the picture. You don't want men to be filled with emotion. You want their emotions to be controlled in such a way that he only uses his emotions when it's important, when it needs to be channeled for something good, for something that actually provides wealth and happiness for himself, his family, and the people around him. You don't want him to have emotional logic where his emotions is what dictates what's logical in his brain. But that's what's happening these days. And very often we encourage it by saying, oh, it's not a big deal that he's wearing girl pants. It's not a big deal that he's vain. It's not a big deal that he's crying. It is a big deal because it's not correct. We allow men to be men and we allow women to be women, to be their feminine selves. and to be filled with emotion. The more masculine a woman gets, the less emotion she feels. And when women do not feel their emotions, they feel dead. They feel depressed. Just the way nature made it. Just the way nature designed it to be. Because nature knew that the moment you move away from your feminine nature, it's over. Happiness, gone. That's how nature works. Allow men to be men and allow women to be women, including you. Why is this so important? It's so that we can create functional families that last forever, that have amazing kids, that produce a next generation that provides joy and happiness and pride and love and everything that a family is supposed to feel. How many people are feeling that these days? How many families are dysfunctional? It's because the man is feminine. If the man manned up and became a masculine man who thought long term about his family, who set strict boundaries and rules for wealth to be created and for the happiness of his children to be the norm and to be sustained, for him to set his family up for success. That's what a masculine man will do. Not only that, but he will actually manage to create success. Because again, a feminine man who tries to become successful will always be inconsistent because his emotions get in the way. Just like you guys. When you're on your period, when you have your cycle, it's very difficult to be consistent. You don't want your guy to get his own cycle. You want him to be cycle free and be able to be stable throughout the entire month, no matter what happens, ups and downs. Who cares? You've got a stable man that you can hold on to. That's what we're talking about. And that's what we do at the Women of High Value channel. We help men be men and women be women. And we link these together to create functional families that are absolutely amazing. I'll see you again tomorrow.